If you want to talk about how palette roulette number 8 went, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène, and yes, we are talking palette roulette, and I am really pleased to bring you kind of the outcome of your selections. It's been a while actually, but you know what? I had so many different products to use that I really wanted to give it a fair amount of time, and I had a couple of products that were rollovers from previous palette roulettes that I just hadn't given enough attention to, and I did manage to use some of those as well, and I would like to talk about those selections. And I have an extra special selection process for the next round, and I will let you know a little bit about that as well toward the end of the video. Okay, so let's first off talk about the selections for this round and what I used and what I thought of them. So one of the first selections was the Urban Decay singles, and it was, I'm showing you this small one, but the actual selection was actually this one, the Urban Decay 20 year, and the 20 year has 20 single eyeliners and 20 single eyeshadows, and I have some additional shadows in here, which is why I'm holding this one up. And if you're not familiar with Urban Decay singles, they look like this. And I did use a number of them, sometimes as a base, sometimes as a single color for a given look. I did not use them for an entire look, so I don't have a lot to say about it because I use them fairly often, and I didn't keep track of each one of the colors that I used. But it was nice to think about that box actively every single day when I was thinking of what kind of makeup I would do, that I would go into that one. Now I have to admit that I would have used that box more if I weren't doing so much testing of holiday sets, because a lot of the base shadows for a look, I was going into those holiday sets to try as many of the colors as possible. So it got short shrift to a certain extent in that I would have used it a whole lot more. So I'm happy that it was in this palette roulette. I am hoping it's going to end up again in this palette roulette, because I would like to show more looks that are specifically Urban Decay singles, because I think that they are very, very good eyeshadows. There's some real unique colors that you can come across, and one that I've been coveting, is one from the original 20 year, the classics, I think they're called, and it's called Acid Rain. I love that color, but I just won't buy it regular price. I just can't. I can't justify it. I have so many of them already, right? I need to bide my time. But Acid Rain is going to be mine, I tell you. Anyway, so that is it for those eyeshadows. And if I were to recommend some, I would definitely recommend Baked, Half Baked, Space Cowboy. Those are Buck as well. Those are fantastic lid colors, transition colors, colors that go well for most people, and there's a reason that they are so popular. And a duochrome that is so well known as well is Lounge. So I'll just give you just a few of those ideas for use of Urban Decay shadows. Again, I really enjoy them and am very happy that they are in my collection. And I'm pretty sure that was a selection from Julie. Next up, we have a selection from Susan, and Susan picked, and these were random numbers, folks did not know what they were picking, and Susan picked the Theory 7. And I have to thank Susan for picking the Theory 7 from Viseart, because I used virtually everything in here. I think, is there anything I didn't use? No, I used all 6 of them in different looks. And it was really nice. I had a few days where I needed to do something really quick and easy, and this is a no-brainer. You have 6 shades, they all work together. You don't have to really think, you just decide what you want in your crease and you go. And I really enjoyed the selection, and I used this one on my inner to center lid, and it just reminded me of why I really like this palette. It's a very, very nice color. Very simple, but if you have to have, and you like neutral to warm tones, you need to do a 5-minute look. This will give it to you. And so it was nice to have one of those options in this whole set. Now the third one for eyeshadows was a selection from Steph, and what Steph chose was these two guys. The Cleona Multichrome eyeshadows, and I did use both. This is Gothic and this is Smoulder, and I have a nice picture of me using Gothic along with Peridot, which is a different eyeshadow from Cleona. So it was a purple and green look, but Gothic is purple but shifts a great deal. So it shifts to bronze and hot pink. There's a lot to it. And so I really enjoyed pairing this one with a lime green because the shifts in Gothic and lime green go really well together. And I also used Smoulder, and I don't know if you're going to see the shifts so much in Smoulder, but it is a little bit different. That one also has lime green in it. And recent additions are these two, Luminaire, and this one is Forge from Cleona. I just put the video up. I will put the link right here. So if you have not tried Cleona Cosmetics Multichromes, or actually any of their shadows for that matter, they're all beautiful, but the Multichromes I think is really their standout product. I would highly recommend. They're an expensive shadow compared to other shadows, but they are effortless, and you get a look that is, I was going to say breathtaking, and I was saying, am I exaggerating? But no, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, you will always get asked, what is on your eye? And the only gripe I have is that you just go like this on your eye and you're done, and you can't really get any cred for effort put in with pairing different colors, because it just works. So yeah, really, really enjoyed using those couple of shadows. And like I said, along with a lime green called Peridot, or Peridot, whichever way you say it. And since we're on eyeshadow, if you're wondering what I'm wearing today, I am wearing the Cranberry palette by Natasha Denona, and I will link that video, first impressions, right here. Okay, we have other products to talk about. We have face palettes to talk about, and I had 3 selections for those. The first selection was Park Avenue Princess. It's very blingy, from Tarte. And it's a beautiful palette. It has a nice huge mirror and some different options here, and I'll try not to blind you. I used, for the most part, I used both highlights at different times on the bridge of my nose for the most part. I used every single one of these. My most used products, I'm going to say, are Princess Cut and Crown. And I moved to Princess Cut a little bit later as I lost color in my face, just because we're getting so much more into winter. We are definitely in the throes of winter, because Angle got a little bit too warm. So these two are matte. And so I went from, at one point one day I put an Angle on, I'm like, whoa, that is just way too warm. And the very next day I was doing Princess Cut. And I have quite a lot of wear showing on Princess Cut. And Carrot, for some reason, even though I went from this to this, I actually went from Carrot over to Crown, which is a deeper, blingier bronze. But I think that it just worked with Pool Party, which is the next one I'm going to show you. So not quite sure why I went for the blingier Crown, but it's been working for me. That's what I have on my cheek today, and I'm really enjoying that bronzer. So speaking of cheek products, here is another selection that was made. It is the Anastasia Blush Trio in Pool Party. And here's what happened with this one, and I didn't expect it. I only used blank twice. I used this one, which is Pageant, I think for sure once, but maybe I think it's twice, but for sure once. And I could not get enough of Cash, K-A-S-H. I was using that kind of a peachy blush virtually every day. And of course there was the Siren 7 from Viseart, the Theory Siren 7 that made it easy to use this blush. But I found I was using it for virtually every look, and I think that it just goes well with my skin tone, and it was like a no-brainer. And blank was also a no-brainer, but because I was using contour with the Park Avenue Princess, I just wasn't using blank as much. If this was all I had, I would definitely contour with this and then use one of the other two as a blush, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed this trio. It reminded me of why I really like it and why it's a very, very good small palette to travel with, because you have three options in something that is relatively compact and pretty sturdy. So I really like these Anastasia trios quite a bit. Now for the last palette, and this is the Anastasia Lip Palette. And I've said it before on this channel that I always lose the plastic and have to wash it every time it falls on the floor. Crazy. Okay, so this is the palette, and it comes with a lip brush, which I have right here. And the lip brush I use just for myself, but you'll see that I carve out some product every time. This is the palette that other people can dip into and use if they want to create an entire look here in my collection. I don't share lipsticks for obvious reasons, but this, because people scoop out what they want to use and then apply, it stays sanitary for everyone, and it can be used. So I'm pretty happy with it. I ended up using this one, and it went well with my Theory 7 look, and you see that I took too much, so I put a little bit on the side, which I will use again. And I scoop out with a clean spatula, and that's why I was able to leave some of it behind, because I'm not actually dipping a lip brush or anything. It's always a clean instrument when I go into this. This is the one item in my collection that I want to, cream product that I want to be able to share, so I'm very careful about it. I only used it that one time. And I only used it that one time, I think, because of the 3 holiday sets that I was testing out. So many lipsticks, so much going on, that this one got short shrift. And I would normally, if I have something in my collection that I didn't really use a whole lot in a palette roulette round, I will keep it around. But I'm not going to do that with this one, because with the holidays, I know for a fact that I'm going to be using a lipstick that I can carry around, because I'm going to be going to all sorts of events and different things, and this is just not reasonable or practical, and we can revisit it in next year's roulettes. I apologize for not making good use of it. It's just not the right time of year for this kind of palette. I think that late January to late March would be a perfect time. Speaking of stragglers, let's go into a couple of these Stilas. They were a carryover from a previous palette roulette, and I promised to use them, and I did. So let me dig out the ones that I used, and we'll talk about them. Wow, I did not realize I had used 4 of them, but no joke, I used 4 of them. The latest one I used is Jezebel. Let's see if I can get you a better side. There we go. Jezebel. It's a very, very pretty color, and it's a shimmer and glow, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. This one I really enjoyed, Diamond Dust. It allowed the other color to show through a little bit. It was nice, since the glitter is multicolor, so it's I think Diamond Dust is the perfect name for this, and it is a glitter and glow. I used Kitten. Yeah, this is Kitten Karma. used it, loved it. It's a classic for a reason. And this one is the last one that I used, and it's Smoky Storm. And again, really, really pretty, more on the cool side. And yeah, I enjoyed all 4 of them. The look was nice and blingy. This was actually, I was watching a dance competition, and I thought, that's a good night for me to have bling, because a lot of the ballroom dancers will have bling, and I fit right in. So happy I carried this over, because I did end up using them quite a bit over the last month. And I think it's because we have holiday parties, holiday themed things going on, and I even wore one of these at Jezebel, actually, at my husband's holiday party. It just fits, and they are a pleasure to use, and I don't worry about them budging, unlike maybe some loose powder glitter. That's more tricky. Speaking of tricky glitter, I have not used these 4, but I have a good reason. So I did not use these 4. And I usually, if I have stragglers, I use them in a couple of days before the video. But I gave my glitter glue to a friend of mine 1 or 2 weeks ago, and so I had no glitter glue. And these are, a couple of them are obviously Christmas colors. So I'm going to carry these over and see if I can use them a little bit more over the holidays in videos and possibly events, if I'm comfortable that they'll stay on my eye, because I just got myself an e.l.f. glitter glue. So I'm hoping that that is going to allow me to use them, and I think it was Susan's pick. So my apologies, Susan, if I'm right. I will be trying to use those during the holidays, and for sure I'm going to use one of them. So the easiest ones are the gold and the silver, but I do kind of want to use one of these greens or reds. It would be fun. Anyway, so they are going to stay along for the next round of the palette roulette, because I do want to use a couple of these glitters, and so I'm giving myself the task. Let's talk about another straggler product that this one was very successful. Okay, so I pulled them all out, but I didn't use all of them, and these are the Colourpop liners that I was going to use on my lower waterline. And I used the green in the look that I did with the Multichrome with Cleona. I used the pink, I used the orange, and I think I used the white, but the white was not very successful for me, and I can tell if I just look at it. Yes, I definitely used the white, I'm not lying. And I think the yellow is the only one I didn't use. Yeah, the yellow is the only one I didn't use. So I think that 4 of the 5 of these ain't bad. So I'm glad I carried it over from the last challenge, because, or last roulette edition. I consider it a bit of a challenge to use the different products that are picked out for me. But I'm very happy with the amount of usage, and I don't know why it didn't work the first time. That's what didn't make me want to use them again. I had tried one last round and it just didn't work. Well, they've all worked. I do have to reapply once throughout the day after the first application in the morning, but that's it. I just need to do a touch-up just to make sure that the color stays vibrant. But I like these. I like these. The prices are good for a bundle of 5. And it makes me want other colorful liners for the waterline, like the NYX Off Tropic. There are a few of those liners that I'm definitely eyeing. So I have renewed hope for me to continue using these. And they're exciting colors, and they really make your eye pop. So yeah, I liked it. Okay, we're into liners, and I'm sorry I don't remember who picked this out for me, but these are the Lise Watier colorful liners, and I'm missing one. I know there are 6. There's a full-size black one. I didn't use that one, but I did use the 3 metallics and the 3 mattes. Well, I didn't use all of them, but I had them out. I definitely used the plum. I used the smoky gray. I used the brun noir. And this one is, what's it called again? Smoky Brown. Definitely use that one. And so it looks like, and I used this olivey one, Jungle. So the only one I didn't use is this blue one called Marine or Marine. It's the only one I didn't use. And it's a very pretty color. But I didn't really do any blue looks. Not that I remember anyway. But here's the thing. These all match the Lise Watier Holiday Palette, which I have somewhere nearby. I had to look for it. So these guys match this holiday palette that I swatched not very long ago. And I will put that video right here if you want to see the colors. Definitely a match with those 6 liners. But despite not having to use the palette, never mind the palette with the liners, I can tell you I like all of them. So if you see that holiday set, if you do the pricing on these, because it's these 6 that are 2/3 the size of a full one, and then this big black full-size liner, it's a steal. They really remind me a lot of the Urban Decay liners. And in fact, I keep these when it's not part of the palette roulette. I keep these in the box here with my Urban Decay liners. So to me, they're on par. They're very, very good. So it was a pleasure to use these, and you would definitely, if you look at the various videos, you would definitely see these listed in the description box along with what else I was wearing. So yeah, nice. And finally, we have these NYX Jumbo Pencils. Those were also a selection this last time. And let me pull out the ones that I used. So I definitely used the lavender, but they don't, the one thing to know about these is they don't set. So I used the lavender as a base for another color. Hopefully you can see the lavender come through. I did the same thing for horseradish. It was, I believe, the base for the Peridot color I told you about before. And the cap is broken on it, so it's all smushed. But I definitely used that one. And then I also used the white, I think this one's yogurt? No, cottage cheese. Yogurt is the different one. It's anyway, doesn't matter. It's a bit of a shiny white, and I used that as a base as well. All 3 of them inner to center lid, and then put something else on top. And I do really like the NYX Jumbo Pencils as a base. They work really well, and they really transform an eyeshadow color. For example, if you put a white base versus a black base, you get a very different effect. And I really think that I should do another video on that concept, because it doubles or triples your makeup collection options. So it's really nice to use a colorful base or a different neutral base, white, black, to get more out of your eyeshadows, in my opinion. Okay, and I just checked. I have covered everything that was selected or carried over from the previous challenge round. And I call it a challenge, but the previous palette roulette round, so from 7 into 8. And I'm pretty happy with it. I am a bit disappointed that I didn't use the lip palette a whole lot. I knew it was going to be a pretty big challenge. It's really not a great time of year, but I do think the first quarter of 2020 is a better time. So I guess I'm saying I'm carrying it over. So there you have it. I will carry over one thing, which is, I think one thing, 2 things. I'm going to carry over the lip palette and the glitters into the next round, and I think that that is going to work well, because the next round I am going to reduce the selections. I'm going to do something special for round number 9. It is not going to be random numbers. So if you've not watched palette roulette before, what we do is we pick, I give you the range, and you pick a random number in that range for eye palette, face palette, and then another kind of accessory product. So jumbo pencils would be one example, glitter would be another example, Stila glitters, for example. But this time around, because it is the holidays, I actually want to reveal a bunch of palettes, and I'd like you to tell me which palettes you would like me to use. And I'm just going to show them to you in the next video. And for those of you who are not interested, but you hung out for this video, thank you so much for watching the outcome. And thank you so much to those who made selections in the first place. You make playing with my collection a whole lot more fun, and I just want you to know that I really appreciate it. And yeah, I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate reporting back and letting you know how I use the product. So that is it for round 8. How was it? Like I said, round 9 for what is up is going to be in the next video on this channel. I just don't want this video to be too long. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it every single time. And I do look forward to seeing you in the next one. But for now, take care.